3 of my top rules for practicing sacred self-care. So this is the place where you will learn how to prioritize your health and joy while you manage your career and relationships. Get rid of the overwhelm and embrace your feminine. Learn how to love yourself so that you can succeed without sacrificing yourself and your health. This is Success and Self-Care with Nigeria, and these are my top 3 rules for practicing sacred self-care. So why is it even important to have rules for practicing sacred self-care? Because when you start your journey, if you are just learning to take better care of yourself, this is almost like building a muscle. So it's like going to the gym when you're working out, you haven't worked out for a while, you're building some new muscles. It can be a little bit challenging. And this is a skill. This is a skill. You're learning to build a muscle, and you're going to do this over time. So my first rule for practicing sacred self-care is that you want to be absolutely unapologetic. And this is incredibly important because quite often when you are doing something new, a lot of your old limiting beliefs can show up that can sabotage this whole process. You may be surrounded by people that don't want you to live well and be well. You may be surrounded by people that benefit from you not having boundaries. And sometimes you can just experience some confusion as you move along that journey. So when you have those moments where you are questioning yourself, doubting yourself, not sure if you're making the right choice, feeling like you're a little bit selfish, you want to make sure to remember to always be unapologetic. And that's important because taking care of yourself really is not truly about being selfish in the sense where you don't care about anybody else. Taking care of yourself is about being responsible. So you have to remember that as you start that journey. And this is why you have to be unapologetic, because quite often people around you may not understand it. They may not have the same mindset. They may not be in a space where they're ready to start evolving and growing the way that you are. And that's absolutely okay. But you have every right to take full responsibility for your life. And if you're ready to do that now, then you have to be unapologetic and recognize that there's more to sacred self-care than just pretending or appearing to be someone who doesn't care about anybody else. It's about wanting to be well. It's about wanting to be responsible. And it's about recognizing that living well and being well is absolutely your birthright. So that's my first rule for practicing sacred self-care. My second rule is you want to be open and flexible on your journey. So why is this important? This is important because self-care is not just one thing. We have emotional needs, we have spiritual needs, we have mental needs, we have physical needs. We have all types of different needs. Sometimes we have certain lifestyles. Maybe we are caretakers like nurses, or we are mothers. And all of those different lifestyles and responsibilities require particular kind of support. So you want to be willing to be open and flexible on your journey, because self-care is going to continue to shift and change as you continue to shift and change. Of course, we're always going to have our regular routines and rituals that we do, but as life continues to shift and we go through those natural cycles of life, we're always going to be shifting and changing with life. So you want to be open to a flexible definition of self-care. What you need right now in this stage in your life may not really be what you need maybe a year or two from now. And this is going to help you to recognize that self-care is not just about going to the gym. It's not simply about drinking more water. Of course, that can be a part of it, but it can extend to so many different areas of your life. I remember about 7 years ago when I was like really into nutrition, and I had just started really getting into wellness like 7 years ago. And at that particular time in my life, I was learning about wellness mostly through the physical body and through eating food. And it was a very exciting time. I was really passionate. I was really intense. I was really into it. And I was learning everything that I needed to learn during that stage of my life. But then there came a time in that cycle of life where it was time to move on to something different. I was experiencing some other challenges that I didn't fully understand. And quite often when it's time for me to begin learning something new, or what we call going through a different life initiation because you're evolving and you're growing, quite often when that happens, it's time for you to kind of open up to something different. And so I was being asked to to learn something new because it was time for me to evolve and grow on a certain level. And that's when I began to recognize that health is not just one thing, and it's not just about the physical body. So I had to be open to a different definition of self-care at that particular time in my life. And it was kind of difficult initially because I was so stuck in these particular ways of taking care of myself. Since I was so focused on the physical body, I was so stuck on this idea that health and wellness is only through the physical body. And when I looked at my routines, even every aspect of my life at that time was reflecting this way that I was moving. I was working out at the gym, I was lifting weights, and it just seemed like everything that I was doing was all about pushing and forcing and taking on so much extra stuff. And I was being asked to learn how to relax a little bit. And I was being asked to learn a couple of different lessons in other areas of my life. So I had to be open to that and recognize that there are different ways to practice self-care. So it's important to be open and flexible to what you need at the different cycle of life that you're in. Now, my third rule is to prioritize inner well-being first and then external. Now, why is this important? Because we live in a society that really conditions us to focus so much on looking good and looking well and looking young, but not so much on actually developing real inner peace, joy, real inner well-being that comes from actually doing the inner work. And so you'll see a lot of people talking about getting their hair and nails done, and you'll see an entire society. You probably already know there's an entire society of us out here who want to just look good. We want to look young, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's natural for all of us. But do you really want to be somebody who is walking around looking good and then silently suffering? Because I see this a lot even in Hollywood with celebrities. You see people that are just out here living these glamorous lives. They have all this fame and all this money. And then next thing you know, they're committing suicide. And you're just like, okay, I thought he had a great life, because you were looking at it from the outside, but not recognizing that real joy and that real peace of mind and that real wellness, it comes from doing that inner work. So we have to prioritize inner well-being first and then external. I love looking good. I love the glamour. I love the beauty. I love all those things. But when we talk about prioritizing, it's inner well-being first and then external. So that is my third rule for you. I would love to know, which one of these rules are you ready to start implementing now? Which one of these rules is calling to you now? Which one of these rules are you more interested in exploring in your life? Again, if you want to continue receiving content where you will learn how to prioritize your health and your joy while you continue to manage your relationships and your career, you want to get rid of overwhelm and embrace your feminine, learn how to love yourself so that you can succeed without sacrificing yourself and your health, be sure to subscribe. Click on the bell so that you know whenever I'm sending a new video, and I will see you later.